Now, it's nearly 3 weeks ago. The President signed into law the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. It is the most sweeping reform of our tax code in more than 3 decades. This tax reform provides both tax simplification and tax cuts for the vast majority of taxpayers. Importantly, the tax reform bill made good on its commitment to provide real relief to small business owners, and that also includes family farmers and ranchers. As one of only 3 Republican senators on both the Finance Committee and the Agriculture Committee, it was a priority of mine to represent agriculture and the family farm institution throughout the tax reform debate. Fair treatment for farmers under tax reform was especially important to me, given the large role agriculture plays in the state of Iowa's economy. Ag accounts for 1 out of every 5 jobs in the state and makes up 33% of Iowa's economy. The tax reform bill provided a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make real and long-lasting reforms for farmers, ranchers, and every American working in our agricultural industries. Broadly speaking, across the board, rate reductions will let Americans keep more of their own money. This will afford farmers the opportunity to reinvest in their operations instead of sending that financial capital to politicians in Washington. Tax reform legislation expands Section 179 of the tax code, which helps farmers finance overhead costs. It enables farmers to deduct more expenses in the year they occurred and also expands the availability of cash accounting to more farmers in Iowa and throughout the country. These provisions will allow farmers to invest in the equipment necessary to do the job of feeding the nation and the world. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act lowers taxes on capital investment and includes a business income deduction, which will help level the playing field between farms that file as corporations and those that file as individuals. More than 94% of farms are taxed under the IRS provisions affecting individual taxpayers. The bulk of agriculture producers who operate outside the corporate tax code deserve basic fairness. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act make sure that those taxed under the individual and corporate tax codes are treated with more equity. One of the most frequently discussed issues in tax reform discussion is the estate tax, which can force family farms to break up operations to pay the IRS following the death of family members. Now, that doesn't happen at the death of a lot of farmers, but in a few cases it does, and it seems to me to be very unfair to break up a farming operation to pay as a result of the consequence of a death. I support a full repeal of this unfair tax, but was pleased that in this tax reform legislation, we were able to make significant progress in alleviating its burden on family farmers by doubling the estate tax exemption. This substantial change would let more family farmers pass their hard-earned life work on to their children, paving the way for the next generation of family farmers. According to the Iowa Farm Bureau, given the price of farmland, about 30% of crop farms in Iowa exceeds the $5 million estate tax exemption in the 2016 based on land values. The doubling of the exemption amount will go a long ways towards alleviating the nightmare that is the death tax for many Iowa farmers. I've long advocated for common sense tax relief measures because they will help Iowa and the Midwest and will make life easier for middle-class Americans. Farmers' hard work provides the healthy and affordable food that we so often take for granted. We should do everything in our power to support that segment of our economy and create an environment where these small businesses and hardworking families can thrive and prosper. That's what tax reform will do for farmers, for Iowans, and for all Americans. Whether it's a middle-class farmer or a middle-class non-farmer, all benefits from other provisions of the tax bill, like doubling the standard deduction, doubling the child tax credit, reducing the 15% bracket to 12, reducing the 25% bracket to 22, and there's a lot of other features in this bill to benefit not only farmers, but also other middle-class families.